Welcome back to the News at 10. 33 members of the Batch A 2019 National Youth Service Corps in Taraba State have been hospitalized after a heavy windstorm ravaged their orientation camp on the outskirts of Jalingo, the state capital. The storm, which struck around 5:30 on Saturday evening, reportedly caught the Corps members who were out celebrating a cultural festival in preparation for the passing out parade. Besides inflicting injuries on the Corps members, the storm ripped the roofing sheets off the buildings in the dormitories, exposing the residents to the resultant heavy rainfall. The Taraba State NYSC coordinator, Florence Yakuk, who narrated the incident to Channels Television, says no life was lost. However, many of the residents lost valuables in the rains that flooded their hostels owing to the exposed roofs. Cooking may just get more interesting as TGI Group, makers of cheap products, introduces Terra Cube seasoning to spice up local meals. At the official launch at its headquarters in Lagos, the managing director reiterated the company's resolve to give consumers value for their money.
TGI Group headquarters all set for the official launch of its newest brand in the seasoning space in Nigeria. This press conference precedes the big event, taking reporters through the journey to the production of Terra Cubes in a video. Terra, meaning nature, is said to be made from wholesome ingredients enriched with beef and chicken flavors to make local delicacies taste even better.
The taste for Terra developed from Nigerian consumers. So much research was done to ensure that we produce a cube that truly enhances the aroma. There are many cubes in the market, but the very few that are developed with consumer insight as the fundamental basis on which we developed the formulation we have.
We decided that let us work on something which is in complete harmony with the palate of Nigerians and ensure that we produce a product which will lock the aroma in.
Terra Cube seasoning, nicely packed in very attractive packages, is unveiled. For TGI Group, the product moves into both urban and rural markets almost immediately.
A lot of women want brands that are not healthier, not as salty as what you have in the market, because we're all health conscious. And we've taken that knowledge, that insight into the brands we have. We've developed to ensure that, look, our brands has it's much less salt than most other brands. We know the importance of quality. We know that if we start today and tomorrow it becomes something else, it doesn't work. So we're not going to do that. Third thing is that we commission continuous quarterly research to check that even though we say we haven't changed, consumers also see that we haven't changed.
But then this is only the beginning, and we will be soon coming out with more and more and more and more products out there.
With consumer feedbacks, TGI Group says it is willing to keep researching to ensure the aroma of local delicacies are locked in with Terra Cube seasoning.
About 18,000 senior secondary school students across the country are participating in the second edition of the Interswitch SPAC National Science Competition organized by Interswitch Group. The race for the big prize of 12.5 million naira worth of scholarships at the tertiary level began at the weekend with the national qualifying examination. The Interswitch SPAC initiative was developed to identify, promote and ignite the right support and reward systems for students in Africa.
Oniland College in Magodo, Lagos State, is one of the 90 centers designated for the qualifying examination of Interswitch SPAC National Science Competition. The examination is one of the elimination stages in the build-up to the TV quiz competition. In this stage, participants are tested with 100 objective-based questions drawn from physics, chemistry, biology and mathematics, in line with the current SS2 scheme of work. Somewhere in Ikeja, Triple Cross Secondary School precisely, another set of students are solving questions set before them. The National Science Competition is part of the InterSwitch Switch A Future CSR initiative aimed at encouraging the teaching and learning of science subjects.
We've already started seeing some gains, so to speak, from this project. I mean, we can see the improved year on year. We've started seeing increased registration, which means that we are already seeing, we're already inciting that interest in STEM, which is what we hope to achieve. We've also witnessed a massive improvement from girls that are being registered. So that narrative that girls are shy of STEM, we don't totally agree with that, because the percentage between the girls and the boys registration is basically not so far off. So besides the massive improvement that we have seen, the massive interest that we have been able to create and generate from this particular project, we've also extended it to Kenya. So you would actually see this in some students from Kenya coming into Nigeria to also compete.
The process, including setting of questions and grading of examinations, is supervised by the National Examinations Council, NECO.
So far, so good. The exam has been smooth. It has been smooth, and the sitting arrangement very nice. The students are well-mannered, orderly, so everything has been great.
81 out of the 17,461 registered students will be selected from the examination stage for the next stage that will include masterclass session, innovation challenge, and TV show.
The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Dr. Pt.3, has visited the FPSO operated by ExxonMobil Nigeria. Now, the purpose of the visit is to encourage the oil production fields to ramp up their crude oil production and unlock gas in line with the gas revolution agenda of the hashtag Big Wins. The Executive Director and Production Manager of ExxonMobil, Richard Lang, also used the opportunity to deny rumors about the organization's exit from Nigeria.
That's the destination the Minister of State for Petroleum is headed, 100 nautical miles off the coast of Lagos. It's ExxonMobil's Terra floating platform storage and offloading vessel. Upon arrival, the change in visibility nonetheless is received by ExxonMobil staff who daily work on this massive floating crude production and storage vessel in the deep waters, to which Dr. Kachiku acknowledges.
Sometimes it's important for some of us who run policies to come out here once in a while and understand the rudiments of what is involved. So on behalf of the federal government, I want to sincerely and immensely thank each and every one of you for the work that you do. Working in a place like this requires a bit more than just career. It's got to be something you love to do. Every day that I sit in that office, I think of you guys and what work you do, the ships that you run, the families that suffer because of your absence. So at the end of the day, it's really you.
Aside helping to actualize federal government's production target, more targets can be achieved.
My message here to them today is, yes, thanks for the fantastic work, but there's a huge amount of work still left undone. We have volumes and reserves here to produce for probably the next 40 to 50 years. But the gas is still largely untapped. We're doing a lot in terms of gas policy, gas commercialization that we started, LPG deployment, but those are just touching the fringes. What is important is to come up with the right commercial terms, get that done as rapidly as possible, and let everybody who has access to gas begin to develop them.
The response here indicates a commitment to continuous production, in contrast to the rumors about ExxonMobil's divestment from Nigeria.
As he described, the corporation has been here many, many years, and we intend to stay. We have ambitious growth programs to drill wells and to grow our business, to make it more profitable. And key in that is our gas commercialization. So we fully support what the Minister described, and we look forward to working with them.
I'm standing on one of the FPSOs by Mobil, and the challenge here today is that production will continue, gas commercialization will be taken advantage of, and the minister has assured that on the policy side, the government will continue to make sure that the IOCs and other companies that are operating in the oil and gas sector will continue to remain in business here in Nigeria, granted that the fiscals will always be right. From offshore Lagos, Olu Phillips, Channels Television News.
A Lagos High Court sitting in the Igbohere area has sentenced the cook, Janet James, to 14 years imprisonment. The 34-year-old woman was sentenced for beating her 8-year-old brother, Xavier James, to death for stealing a bit of meat from a pot of soup on August the 10th, 2009. Justice Adedayo Akintoye convicted her following her plea of guilty to an amended 1 count of manslaughter. The judge said the 14-year-old imprisonment will take effect from August the 21st, 2009, when Janet was remanded by a magistrate's court. Justice Akintoye noted that the defendant entered a plea bargain agreement with the prosecution on Monday last week at the High Court. The sentence and plea bargain agreement stated that the defendant has shown remorse for the offence of manslaughter. Let's move on to some business news now. Here's Kayode Okikiolu.
You First. First Bank.
Thank you, Ijeoma, and you're welcome to Business News. The Minister of Budget and National Planning, Senator Udoma, has been speaking on steps taken by the federal government to strengthen Nigeria's economic growth. At a briefing with some foreign investors, Senator Udoma gave details of his presentation at several sessions of the just concluded spring meeting of the World Bank and International Monetary Fund in Washington, D.C.
With regard to the economy, I informed them that the President intends to fast-track the implementation of the investor-friendly policies of the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan so as to generate even faster growth. In particular, I informed them that the President has set up a committee headed by the Vice President to produce an implementation guideline for the incoming cabinet. All three of us here, that is the Minister of Finance, the Governor of the Central Bank and myself, are members of that committee.
Meanwhile, the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, is assuring Nigerians that the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan will lead to the development and industrialization of the country. Mr. Emefiele told some foreign investors at the just concluded World Bank IMF meeting in Washington that the ERGP will be followed through despite the challenges.
The role of CBN in the ERGP and how successful it has been. Let me reiterate by saying that Central Bank, being the monetary policy authority in the country, was also part of the process of developing the ERGP document. And that document, I repeat, is applauded in any part of the world as a standard plan that will lead to the development and the industrialization of Nigeria. It is being followed through like a Bible. Naturally, like you know about a plan, sometimes you find that you overshoot the target positively, or sometimes for one reason or the other, you are not able to hit those targets. But I'll say by and large, looking at the document that specifies the need for us to achieve macroeconomic stability, I can say that we have achieved a relatively stable macroeconomic environment in Nigeria, with inflation stabilizing or moderating to about 11%, with exchange rate looking very good today, with reserve build up and all that. Those are all the mandates and mandates that are enshrined in the ERGP document as targets that the monetary policy must achieve.
Well, let's now head over to the Nigerian Stock Exchange, where the third trading week of April gets off to a negative start as investors wasted no time to take off some profits which were recorded in 3 sessions last week. Chimeze Obiwagu has the rest of the details.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. After 3 days of positive trading last week, the new week started off on a rather slow pace with the all-share index down 0.14%. Well, this could be said to be typical of a Monday, although the market is yet to see any positive catalyst. When we look at the sectors, we could see the oil and gas and the banking sectors being the major contributors to this lackadaisical performance today. That's despite the gains by the other sectors, particularly the consumer goods sector, which gained the most by 0.99%. In all, over 223 million shares were traded, valued at about 1.8 billion naira in 3,175 deals. Well, earnings season is expected to kick off this month. Perhaps there might be silver lining somewhere. For now, let's remain optimistic for better transactions going forward. And that was the stock market report. I'm Chimezie Obi Iwagu.
Thank you, Chimezie. On a global scale, lackluster earnings report from Goldman Sachs and Citigroup takes its toll on Wall Street as investors react to lower than expected revenue from both banking giants. Well, let's take a look at the figures. And that's business news for tonight. Thank you for watching. I am Kayode Okikelu. The news at 10 continues with Ijeoma.
You First. First Bank.
Thanks a lot, Kayode. Still ahead on the news at 10, we take a trip to our London bureau with Around the World in 5. Do join us again.